personally thank Caitlin Clark for lifting up our sport. She carried a heavy load for our sport.
Honestly, no disappointment. I think it just gives you something to work for. That's a dream. Hopefully one day I can be there, and I think it's just a little more motivation. You remember.
And you know what? At last, it took place. Team USA has formally expressed remorse for not selecting Caitlin Clark. Is anyone genuinely surprised, after all? Who would have thought that she wouldn't be selected in the first place? It's not as though millions of people have been literally imploring Team USA to avoid making such a huge, terrible mistake. It doesn't matter if you've been watching women's basketball for decades, or if you're a new fan enthralled with the Clark phenomenon. From the rooftops, we have all been yelling at them to avoid making this grave error. What actions did they take? They Dawn Tunley made the error, but they are now paying the price and essentially apologizing in public. The Indiana coach even disclosed that Clark informed her they had unleashed a monster because the matter has become so heated. To be honest, you enjoy hearing it. Best-selling novelist and well-known sports commentator Christine Brennan has been following this story for weeks, and she has a very harsh opinion. She stated, and I quote in her USA Today column, "In the 40 years I've followed the Olympics, I've seen some awful team and individual selection judgments, but this is by far the worst. Give that some thought." She continues with a zinger, saying, "After 40 years of covering sports, this is the worst decision she's ever seen." We should probably not be shocked, though, as we've known for years that the folks who operate the Olympic Games are the last amateurs. Oh no. On the other hand, Jamal Hill, a contributing writer for The Atlantic, stated that people should quit worrying so much about every single choice. Even so, she acknowledged that Clark will eventually make an Olympic squad. And I wholeheartedly concur. It's obvious that USA Basketball has already expressed regret for not choosing her. And one of the main reasons they should be sorry is related to a remark made by Stephen A. Smith, which I wholeheartedly agreed with. According to him, understanding the marketing aspect of sports is crucial. Furthermore, this wasn't merely a failure in that regard. It was a total disaster.
Apologizing? You make decisions, marketing. I want people watching. I want eyeballs. I want advertising dollars. Why? Because he'll get paid. Y'all will get paid. And guess who else will get paid? You see where I'm coming from? That's what it's about. Stop acting otherwise. We know this. You don't sit up there and pass on Caitlin Clark. It was stupid, Team USA. It was a dumb decision. There's always somebody that's a sacrificial lamb. I respect the hell out of Rebecca Lobo and what she broke down. I understand it. It was a stupid decision because it compromises what your ultimate goal is, which is to elevate the WNBA.
And let me just add that I completely agree with Stephen A. Smith on this point, even though I don't think he usually phrases things in the best way. A business degree is not required. A marketing major is not required. Furthermore, the obvious fact that Caitlin Clark attracts viewers doesn't even require a college degree. Right now, it's the most evident fact in athletics. Therefore, bringing her to the Team USA women's basketball team, a team that is followed and critiqued globally, would only benefit the team if she is attracting spectators on a historically high-leveled. Women's basketball as a whole flourishes and gains enormous popularity. It's only common sense. The Olympic stage would have been the ultimate catalyst for the current rate of progress. However, she was left off of that roster for an unknown reason. Because of this, I have to disagree with the feeling in some footage that implies this was just a basketball choice. Further investigation reveals signs of further activity occurring behind the scenes. For example, it's evident that one of the game's legends, Diana Taurasi, was adamantly against Caitlin Clark having a big direct impact from the start.
Reality is coming.
Okay.
There's levels to this thing, and that's just life.
If you go back and review her remarks, you'll see that she alluded to the fact that Clark's extraordinary performance at the University of Iowa wouldn't immediately translate to the WNBA without mentioning Clark's name. It was a traditional rookie welcome to the league, but it seemed to have a bit more weight and caution. Additionally, an intriguing rumor began to circulate that Cheryl Reeve, the Minnesota Lynx and Team USA coach had a personal grudge against Clark. This notion became very popular following the Indiana Fever, and the Minnesota Lynx squared off. She wasn't exactly the biggest fan of Caitlin Clark, as many spectators could see by her behavior on the sidelines and the way she coached her body language during the game. There may have been some internal politics at work well beyond what was taking place on the court, as evidenced by the kind of subtle yet potent nonverbal communication that says volumes.
It's all around the league. But as a coach of the home team, there's going to be a lot of people cheering for that other side.
I'll get 2 shits.
How about 1?
Not even 1 shit.
Let me now attempt to elucidate the official explanation for Caitlin Clark's exclusion from the Team USA selection for the 2024 Olympic Games. We were all completely shocked to hear that the 22-year-old phenomenon had gone unnoticed, but Jen Rosati, the chair of the Women's National Team Committee, eventually provided an explanation. She clarified that the selection of the players that USA basketball coach Cheryl Reeve would bring to Paris in July was based on a long and detailed list of requirements. The worst part is this. Crucially, she said that popularity and television ratings had no bearing. This one fact dealt 2 devastating blows to Clark's chances immediately. Given that she is unquestionably the most well-liked player in the WNBA, she draws enormous television audiences and sells out venues from coast to coast. It just sounds so strange, especially when you consider that organizing the entire Olympic Games is really a massive marketing operation for the host nation. Rosati emphasized that Caitlin and the other players who were left off the team were evaluated based on their full body of work during this 3-year evaluation process. She explained that despite Caitlin Clark's particular situation, she was happy that the committee strictly adhered to their selection criterion, which expressly disregarded marketability and TV viewership. When selecting the 12 players who would go across the Atlantic in an attempt to capture an 8th consecutive gold medal, the committee was reportedly told to ignore all other influences and simply follow their predetermined list. Rosati made it clear that the committee's sole responsibility was to choose the top 12 players using these precise standards, a process that began when Caitlin was still leading the NCAA 3 years ago. What were these, then, standards? U.S. citizenship, availability, playing prowess, adaptability, coachability, and attitude were among them. Adaptability to the team, leadership, concept, and how well they adjust to global competition, as well as their capacity to help the team succeed. Although it's still entirely unknown which of these particular requirements Clark allegedly didn't achieve, she stated she isn't dissatisfied and intends to use this